Hello, this is Black 117 here, and today we'll be showcasing our Week 5 PBL battle against Ishmael of the California Kyogres. So, for this team battle, this was a very, very kind of semi-scary, semi-noticeable, I'd say, week, because he had Ishmael had a very legitimate threats that I noticed that could poke some holes through my team. Literally, from, as you can see, the Kyurem B right here, to Jolteon, which I don't have an electric resist, the Mega Scizor, which threatens both my Dansey and my Necrozma, Milotic, who is very defensive, Lucario, which I don't even know, it can have any form of priority it wants, and Nidokings with it gotta be defensive or Sheer Force Life Force set. So for this week, he also had an Infernape, a Shaman, Gligar, Weezing, Meloetta. I forgot the exact mons, but he thankfully didn't bring either Infernape and the Shaman, otherwise it would have caused some problems. Also, especially the Shaman. Also, Weezing, so no toxic spikes there. And Heracross kind of has a field day, somewhat. So, looking at his team, I have to probably preserve my Heracross, which is Choice Scarf this week. It's the same set as last week, somewhat, with Anime Nature. We did get a new addition. We dropped our Alolan Muck for Greninja Torrent because Protein Battle Bond Greninja is banned in the standard league play. So, especially for this league. So we're using Torrent Greninja with HP Fire, Water Shuriken, Spikes, and Ice Beam. The reason for running the Greninja is so that we could pressure his team with Spikes and have an option against his we can pressure his team with Spikes, and, well, especially the Scizor and the Gligar hits him with HP Fire and Ice Beam, respectively. The Arcanine is not as same set, Choice Band, not so much. It's self-explanatory. With Flare Blitz, Close Combat, Wild Charge, Extreme Speed. I really needed Extreme Speed because I felt that I needed something to feel like I'll prioritize any of his faster sets like Infernape, and especially I forgot the other one, like Combuskin. I was extremely worried that Combuskin can speed pass to something like Kyurem, and I'm like, oh crap, I don't have something to stop that thing. So for that reason, we brought a bulky Necrozma with Thunder Wave, Calm Mind, Psychic. I was so inclined. I was debating about whether to keep HP Fire or Thunder Wave, but I wasn't so sure. I just stuck with Thunder Wave because I felt that he would just use that for just baton, for in case he would just get speed boosts and whatnot. Also, Kyurem B and could be Scarf and Lucario. Kyurem and Lucario can be Scarf, so that's gonna be annoying. Lastly, we have our Dansey, which is I think a very bulky Dansey this week. If I recall, it's a Moonblast, Psychic, Rocks, and Endeavor. The reason why I have Endeavor is to hit let's say Milotic. Then again, Endeavor is just there just to weaken one of his Pokemon to extremely low health, because Dansey has low HP despite having a high HP investment. The idea is just to do enough to where one of my Pokemon can just revenge kill the other, so that's pretty much the idea. And lastly, we have Kartana, which is probably my favorite set this week. Normally, you would think you would run Jolly, but this time we're running Timid with 19 attack IVs, so that speed is raised with Swords Dance. So Kartana could sweep this team unless the Lucario has Vacuum Wave or something. Well, anyways, we'll just get into the battle. First off, we're leading with Stan. I felt that Heracross was my best lead given the fact that he has no fighting resist. And I immediately just go for my close combat. And it deals like almost 49% to Scizor. And I'm like, okay, that's a defensive Scizor. So, at this point, like, I'm like debating whether or not to switch out to, let's say, I'm debating whether to switch out to like Arcanine, Greninja, but honestly, I don't really have a great switch aside the Arcanine, and I have to go for Arc, and he goes for Roost. Pretty simple and standard play. Honestly, here I really wanted to switch out. I almost wanted to switch out here because I knew Druddigon was coming in. But it's just, I feared losing Diancie this early in the game, or like, I feared that he would switch out to something like, he would just U-turn back to, let's say, to Lucario or just Druddigon. So, there was nothing really I could do here. So I was pretty much forced to commit and go with Flare Blitz. As you see, it does about 32 to the Druddigon, but as you see, it's the defensive Rocky Helmet Rough Skin set, and it does a lot of residual onto my Arcanine. And now I'm like, great, I already lost a lot of health, and that's not great. So here, now let me explain this. I really wanted to switch into Diancie, but at the same time, I was just worried that Necrozma. Well, not Necrozma, but I was worried that, like, I was worried to switch into either Diancie or Greninja, but I was worried about taking unnecessary damage. And, to be honest, Heracross was an option, but I didn't feel that the need to, like, to risk Heracross this early in the game, especially if this is a defensive set with a potential glare. So, I didn't want that Druddigon to, like, severely like cripple my only Scarfer, which is my response for Jolteon. So, and there was no other Pokemon I could switch into, so I felt Necrozma was my best switch in. He gets a crit, doesn't really matter as much, but it's a little annoying. But so I decide here I'm just gonna Calm Mind and see how he responds, and he goes for Rocks, and I'm at +1. And I go for Psychic. It doesn't kill, but he goes for Glare, and at this point, I'm paralyzed. But I'm not toxic this week, so I'm paralyzed, but I'm not toxic. Here he switches out to Milotic, and I'm like thinking, well, does he have Haze? Like, and I'm like, okay. I was thinking about paralyzing the Milotic, but I don't know. So I was just gonna stick around for a while. I was actually gonna, as I missed my T-Wave, I was actually just gonna not sack my Black. I was thinking about going into Greninja and setting up hazards. That way I could my spikes. But as you'll see, things are about to turn for the worse for my opponent. So as I decided to go for Calm Mind, as I realized, wait, he doesn't have the move. So I just keep going for he goes going for Scald, I just keep going for Psychic. And at this point I'm like, okay, so I'm in this struggle. And like he switches into his Mega Scizor, and I'm like, alright, I'm just gonna Calm Mind. And this is where I'd say was a very decisive point in the battle. Like, he doesn't know whether or not I have HP Fire, which I don't. And I'm very worried about this Scizor potentially sweeping me right now. And I don't know what to do because I'm pretty much boosted. I'm boosted up as best I can, so, and I could tell this is a very defensive Mega Scizor. Maybe like a defensive set with like Roost and Bullet Punch. Roost, Bullet Punch for sure. With, I don't know, whatever option it is. I don't know what to go for here. So he goes for Bullet Punch. And I'm like, what? And I do 40% here, and I'm like, okay, he must have predicted me. Surely. And then I see a Roost, and here I go for the Thunder Wave, just so that there's nothing really I could do for the Scizor. I don't have Wisp on Arcanine. I just felt like Thunder Wave was my closest option for the Scizor. And here I decide, well, let's see what happens here. I'm just going to go for another Psychic. And I almost was expecting the Swords Dance at this point. I was expecting him to Swords Dance at any point in the game. And I'm just going for the Moonlight, and he goes for the Roost. And I'm like, okay, so this is going to come down to maybe Paralysis turns or whatever. He keeps going for Bullet Punch, and I just go for a Calm Mind again. And I'm debating about going for another Calm Mind, but as you see, he goes for another Roost. As it does over 50%, I'm like, okay, maybe if I get a Spadef drop, we could force another, like a switch, basically. And now I'm losing, and here he gets paralyzed. And I go for Psychic, it does over 50%. Now, this is very huge, as now I can, as long as I don't get paralyzed, I pretty much kill the Scizor in a very, very strange turn of events. And I get a crit, but I don't think it mattered. It didn't matter. I was boosted. Sakura goes in, and now I'm like, okay, what do we do here? So I think I just go for another. I think I go for another Calm Mind or something. And just look at the Scald. Scald's not doing anything. And like, I just go for Psychic, and I'm like, well, this is just. Necrozma is just going for, like... Necrozma is just taking these hits. And Psychic is just... Imagine if I ran Store Powered. That would have been the dream. So, Blue Note is here, but at this point, his best chance is to set up with Nasty Plots and get, like, Paralysis turns, but it doesn't seem like he has it, so... And I keep getting paralyzed. And it's just, well, as you see, like, he doesn't have a response for the Necrozma, and, well, I might as well just speed this up, because I think we all know what's going to happen. He sashed Lucario, and, yeah, look, Blue Note is going down, and all that's left is the Jolteon and the Dredagon, which all of them are weak to a Scarf Earthquake from like Heracross, and I have Water Shuriken from Greninja in case things go wrong. So also Kartana can just outspeed and whatnot. So and Choice Band Arcanine. So yeah, with extreme speed. So this is a very but Necrozma's like, no, I'm just gonna get all these kills. And yeah, this was really a beatdown. So like honestly, I feel like my prep wasn't as good as it should have been this week. Like I feel like I should have just swapped out earlier with the Arcanine, so that way we would have at least had offensive pressure, or even engaged into with like having just having offensive pressure in general would have been helpful. I'm not so sure whether having Arcanine here in this battle was good, but I was just worried about the his priority mons and fast mons with Infernape, Jolteon, Lucario, and Kirimbi. It was a very... I think we got fortunate in this game. It didn't seem that my opponent, Rishmil, I don't want to say he didn't prep for this, but it's just that it didn't... it's just that Necrozma was able to get in, get set up, and he wasn't able to prevent it, that's all. And once the Scizor went down, I knew that we had a good, solid chance to win, and once the Kyurem went down, it was just like, okay. Kyurem and the Milotic went down. I was like, okay, as long as I don't mess this up or I don't get paralyzed too much, we win this game. Like, so, in theory, so, yeah, that's sometimes how it goes. Like, how, man, it wasn't as a competition, but I think you have to also think, you have to say that, like, in league format, there's gonna be matchups, there's gonna be, like, really good matchups, there's really, like, really bad matchups, and this is one of those cases, like, where if you don't have a response to a Pokemon, then, well, it could potentially sweep you, so, but I'm not gonna try to rely on that all the time, so, because obviously my opponents are gonna prepare for that, so, yeah. Just using Necrozma just to sweep. That sounds, I know it might sound cheap, but we got the W, we got the 6-0. We're now positive, we're 3-0 coming into this league, but we're still like 3-2, so we're doing well. So, yeah. I don't know who's my opponent for next week. I think it might be TGJ or something along the lines of that. But we will prepare for our opponent as best we can, so hopefully there's going to be a very intense game, just like you saw from like week 4, like, and maybe like in the others, like from like the battles I've showcased earlier. I think we were able to do well in this game. It just came down to, I think this really came down to prep, and it goes to show you how much you have to like prep for your opponent. If you don't prep, if you prep well and then you have a good advantage going into the game. Also, there's also many things that could happen, like hacks, decision making, and all that stuff. But I think prep is a huge portion in league battles. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, share, and I'll see you all later. Bye.